Okay, we're going to go over, or have you do a couple things, or at least start on one. I don't know if we'll be able to get the whole thing done here within a week. If you can, awesome. If not, no big deal. So I don't remember if we discussed if you were going to be turning in anything late this week. I know you said in the previous email where you were telling me about this theory stuff that you do know, you could make a video showing the theory stuff on Thursday when you get back in town. So I don't remember if you told me before if you were leaving, so I apologize for that. I guess you... I haven't seen the video come in yet on the latest thing that you're playing, so let me know when you plan on bringing or turning that in, okay? So, yeah, so the plan right now, we'll do two things for the theory. The first one, you probably already recognize this stuff, or at least a good amount, and that's those 3 notes per string scale shapes, because you talked about that stuff, and you talked about like knowing the modes, or at least the mode shapes and whatnot. So what I want you to start doing is start memorizing everything, and the first thing we're going to do is just one after the next. So some little tricks here to help you visualize stuff more easily. So when you're playing a scale shape, you're always playing like 2/3 of another. Always. So where one shape begins, the next one, or one shape ends, the next one begins, and so on. So like if you get rid of the first note, first dot of each string here, and the last dot or note on each string here, see, we're left with the exact same shape. And that's going to happen every single time. So we take off the first note of each string here, last note of each string here, once again, left with the same shape. So it sounds like you may already be doing something like this, where you play through one scale shape to get you ready for what the next one's going to be like, and the next one, and so on. So that's good. It's a very good thing to recognize. Very helpful. Here's another thing that's very helpful. So with our 3 notes per string scale shapes, the way this is laid out, how the shape ends on the high E string. So like right here we got the 10, 12, 13. Well, the next one begins on the low E string, 10, 12, 13. And that's something that will happen every single time. It's not letting me undo that. Are you kidding me? Wow, that's a bummer. Hang on. Can I just open that back up? Oh, man. Okay, hold on. There we go. That reset it. Okay, and then, so here we got the Dorian shape ending with 12, 13, 15, or E, F, G. Well, the E Phrygian shape is going to begin on the low E string, 12, 13, 15, or E, F, G. So just recognizing little things like that, very, very helpful in making it easier to know what's coming next and connecting the shapes. So what I want you to do is just start memorizing one at a time. So basically, I want you to be able to play that C Ionian shape comfortably. Doesn't matter what pace you do it, so long as you feel comfortable with it and you're playing everything correctly. So when you can do that up and down from memory, then you start working on that D Dorian shape. And then when you can do that from memory, make sure you can play both the C Ionian and D Dorian back to back. that, then you start working on the E Phrygian up here on the 12th fret, and so on. So yeah, you got the E Phrygian in two places. So the the high octave. So learn this one first, and then when you can play C Ionian to D Dorian to E Phrygian from memory comfortably, then you go to the open position next, and then just continue on from there. So always add one at a time, and never add a new one until everything prior is comfortably memorized. Super, super important. And we'll get into talking about, like, improvisation practice and things like that. But hey, that lesson I did, it's on YouTube, like 12 ideas to help you start improvising. Watch that. Go ahead and start doing it now, and use these scale shapes to help you with that. So definitely a great way to practice your scale shapes, and just make stuff up with them. Now, so that's the first thing to start working on. The second thing sounds like you know about the major scale formula. So what I want you to try here is naming. Oh my goodness, I have this whole thing filled in. Uh-oh, hold on a minute. Man, I did that, didn't I? Well, I just gave away a whole bunch of stuff. Hold on, I gotta undo that. I know what I did. I accidentally saved over the worksheet with the answers filled in when I was working on this with somebody else. Well, you could technically cheat and just fill all that stuff in. Don't do that. You won't learn. You won't learn. All right, here we go. This is how it should be. Goodness. So anyway, the major scale formula. So that's the WWH thing that you were talking about. So all 12 major keys are going to be accounted for here. So what I want you to do is fill in the names of the notes that make all these major scales. So your key of C is already done, for example. And big thing to remember here is everything is a whole step apart, note name wise, except for E and F, B and C. So E to F is a half step apart, B to C is a half step apart. Everything else is a whole step. So when you are filling this stuff in, important things to remember. All 7 note names must be used. All 7. So like here for the key of G, that means we need one kind of G, one kind of A, one kind of B, one kind of C, one kind of D, and so on. So that means, like, if you end up on an A sharp, you can't have like an A natural and an A sharp in a major scale. You can have an A and a B flat, but you can't have an A and an A sharp. So that's 2 different kinds of A's. So we need each, so we got 7 notes, 7 places, 7 notes that make up these major scales, so we need all 7 note names to be accounted for. When you get this stuff correct, you'll notice that sharp and flat notes cannot exist in the same major scale. They can't. It just doesn't happen. So when you're going through this, if you notice that you have a sharp and a flat coming out, something's gone wrong. So the last note is always going to be the first note. So when you're filling this stuff in, if you somehow wound up with a different answer for the last note than what you started with, something's going wrong. So use your guitar to help with this stuff too. So like I'm going to do the key of A, for example. So you're going to use that C Ionian scale shape that you're memorizing, which you probably already know. And it's just the first 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's it, really. But let's hit that note anyway, because that's, well, the octave. And it resolves to hit that. Anyway, so what we do is whatever the root note is for the scale, we need to start there. So if you need to go through your notes, natural note names, that's fine. So E, half step to F, whole step to G, whole step to A. So this is where we start our A major scale. So we got A, then we go up a whole step. So whole step from A is B, So we put that in. Just hit the space bar enough times to try and get it lined up with that whole thing in there. Anyway, so then a whole step again. So that gets us on C sharp. Remember, a half step up from B is C natural. So a half step above C natural is C sharp. Then we go up to the next note, which is a half step up. So C sharp, half step higher, is D. And you could do this all on one string, but doing it in the major scale shape is a good thing to get that shape memorized better. So then a whole step up from D is E. Put that in. And then a whole step from E would be F sharp. Because remember, E to F is a half step. So a whole step up from E is F sharp. Then a whole step from F sharp is that note right there. Or we can look at it like this here as well. So F sharp to G natural is a half step. So F natural to G natural is a whole step. So that means F sharp up a whole step has to be G sharp. You can also do it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you're confused about what that note is, start looking here. So the open string is D. Whole step up is E. There's F. And then G. So I'm just going with like the natural notes. Okay, so if that's G, that means a step or a half step up from G is G sharp. G sharp. And we know it's got to be G sharp, not A flat, because we already have an A. It's the root note. So we can't have an A flat here. We would have 0 G's and 2 types of A's. And then of course, half step up from G sharp is A. Put in the A. So I hope that makes sense. Whenever you got this stuff filled in, just send it on over. So again, when you're doing this stuff, all 7 note names must be used. Regardless of sharps or flats, we need one kind of A, one kind of B, one kind of C, and so on. Sharps and flats do not exist in the same major scale. So if you come up with like a sharp and a flat within the same scale, something's gone wrong. So I hope that makes sense. Any questions, let me know. And there we go. Those are the first 2 theory things to get going on. And as far as getting the scales memorized, take your time with it. Just keep me up to date on how it's going, and we'll just take it from there. All right. I hope you're doing okay. Talk to you soon.